brought to you by Marco's Pizza, of course, America's #1 pizza company, Marco's, um, where you can always get two medium pizzas for $6.99 each every day. Thanks for being back with me. Sorry for a little bit of programming change here. We were actually going to do this yesterday because I had the all important Thanksgiving Day feast um, at Bryson Towers School, Rocky Branch Elementary. And so we had that today. So I've already had turkey and dressing today, but it's getting into the evening eating hours. And so I think I'm going to order two medium, two topping pizzas for $6.99 each um, here in a little bit. And if you're hungry now, you can go ahead and order them, and I'll bet you they'll get them to you before this show is over. Calling up your comments here so I can see what you're saying. Hello, Eddie Bush. Were you first, Eddie Bush? Let's see who's first here. No, Bryce Dixon, ladies and gentlemen. Bryce, you're not normally first. You were always here, but you're not normally first. Belinda Thomas and Tony Jackson all got on here really quick. Bill Radford says, what up? Randy Hood has thumbs up. Eddie Bush says, go Dogs. Amos Williams says, let's go Dogs. Steve Harmon, the man, the myth, the legend, the great cornerback, wants to know why his internet is down. It's not down, Steve, because you're on here. What else we got? Timothy Jones says, all dog. Kibo Weir says, Chipster, how goes it? All kinds of people lining up to come on here. We appreciate it. You must be excited about this week's game against UMass, right? That's what's got everybody fired up. Christy Bedell Towers is on here watching. Be careful, hun, wherever you are. Glad to see everybody. Glad to be seen. It's Towers Take Live on Facebook, brought to you by Marco's Pizza. And we're here to talk some Georgia football. Let me hear your questions. Trip Taylor, I don't like that at all. Trip Taylor, the great tight end, says it is 75 degrees in Tampa. We don't want to hear that here in cold, wet Seattle. I mean, Athens, Georgia, Northeast Georgia, where it's rained all week long. It's still cloudy and dreary and wet and cold, but it's clearing out, guys. And it's actually supposed to be pretty nice for Saturday's game, 4 o'clock kickoff against UMass. Hello, Steve Burnett. Glad to see you here. UMass at 4 o'clock, SEC Network. Let me know if you're going to be there at the game. I'm always curious about games like this, because, a lot of people, aren't really fired up about coming to UMass or watching the UMass game. But, Georgia, it's a sellout, I believe, technically. And there may be some tickets floating around out there. And you can probably get tickets pretty cheap. But, it is a home game. Georgia only has 6 of them. So I'm curious to see how many people come. Robert Maloney here, by the way, Trip, he says it's 66 in Tampa. So it might have been 75 earlier today, but he says it's 66. So I think you're just trying to rub it in our face. Galen Jacobs, hey, let's get the weather report. It says it's 45 degrees in Macon. Is it raining down there, Galen? Let us know. And I agree, Jimmy Kelly, you're right. It is football weather. That is the way we like. As long as you keep that wet stuff out there, I'm okay. It was a little chilly for the Auburn game this past weekend, but I thought that was a fantastic atmosphere. I agreed with Kirby Smart, who came up afterward in the post-game press conference and said it was the best dog walk atmosphere they'd had all year long. And that was good, because there was potential for that to be kind of a drab day. It wasn't. The Georgia fans came out in force. The Spike Squad was awesome. Georgia students, man, let me tell you, you guys do a great job. And look, I was in school once here. I'm sure a lot of these people, let us know. Give us a thumbs up if you went to school at Georgia, regardless of what your age is. The atmosphere's always been great at Sanford Stadium, but I would hazard to guess it's never been better than it is now. I mean, I sincerely mean that. And that's saying something in this day and age where generally attendance is down in football games. and but that's not the case with Georgia. They're still getting 92,746 in there, give or take a few. I think Georgia on that 92,000 plus. Counts the media, counts the band, counts the personnel, game day personnel, probably to get it to 92,746. But that's the official attendance, and Georgia has sold out every game every year for a while now. So you want to see that. Roy Amarine says, not looking past UMass, but does Georgia Tech give us props? Look, man, it cracks me up when I see these fans are coming in there. Don't look past. Don't look. Hey, it's okay for us. Okay, it's the team that can't look past. And those of us who've watched Georgia for any time, I apologize. I got a little bit of a scratchy throat right now. Let me get a sip of water. Sorry about that. Those of us who have followed Georgia football for a long time, attended the school, or whatever, know that Georgia Tech is. I mean, that's always an issue. Hey, they've won the last two times they've come here, and Georgia was heavily favored both times. You cannot take Georgia Tech for granted. That's the reason that Kirby Smart devotes a period to option practice every practice all year long, because this is not an easy thing. John William says, "Sure, it's water, Chip." Yeah, in my nice my nice Yeti National Championship mug. This was a or whatever you call it, thermos. This was a one of the media gifts last year for the national championship game, and I like it a lot. This is my favorite, and it's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with being able to conceal the contents. No, it's just water. I'm a professional. And yeah, you can't. But look, you can look. You can look past. And let's all look past UMass. All right, let's look way past UMass. And look, UMass is an FBS school. And the great thing about UMass, I think, in terms of what Georgia's trying to do in the grand scheme of things, which is win a national championship and an SEC championship, I think they're good. They throw the ball around a lot. They average 299.1 yards passing a game. As a matter of fact, this is the best passing offense Georgia has faced all year long. And that's good prep for Alabama, who will be the second best passing team. Actually, you could probably say they'll be the best passing team that you will face all year long, with Tua Tagovailoa and all those great receivers. You may remember, what was his name? Devontae, the kid that caught the touchdown on the busted coverage late. He'll be back. But that's good preparation, not necessarily good preparation for Georgia Tech, which we were talking about a while ago. Yeah, so that's always a danger. But, UMass is a 41.5 point underdog is what I saw today. I think the line got up to 44. I don't know why it went down to 41.5. I guess somebody went to Vegas and dropped a whole lot of money down on them. Steve Harmon says I'm sounding like Lou Holtz. Lou Holtz, heck, I'm sounding like Vince Dooley, right? You just you can't go to sleep on Tech, but I think you can get through. Marcus Anderson, yeah, thank you, Robert Maloney. Devonta Smith, Devontae, I don't know how you pronounce it. He's got it spelled right though. Devonta Smith. No disrespect, Mr. Smith. I think everybody on the Georgia sideline respects you greatly in that touchdown on 2nd and 26. How many times do you think we'll hear that over the next 3 weeks? But yes, Marcus Anderson, Tua is hurt. He's got a knee issue. It's a sprain, and he's hurt. And John McMillan, let me get to this real quick. I'll come back to Tua. Somebody asked earlier about how has D-Rob looked and all that kind of stuff. He's back on the practice field, which is great. And he'll probably play this week. I would think maybe a considerable amount. you know, because it's UMass, but he's not a factor in Georgia's general wide receiver rotation. He's not part of it. And hey, I was excited like everybody else on Demetrius Robertson coming to Georgia from Cal. He came highly recommended. He was a 5-star. He's out of Savannah. Um, I think and hope that he's much happier now that he's at the University of Georgia. But Georgia has quite a wide receiver core, very good one this year. I've said this the whole time now. This is not an "I told you so" moment. But I said from the beginning of the year, I thought this was a team strength, Georgia's wide receivers overall. And now that Terry Godwin is back to full speed, J.J. Holloman has developed beautifully. Riley Ridley, still Riley Ridley. McCole Hardman, still McCole Hardman. Um, this is a great wide receiver group, one of the best Georgia's had in years, and they're deep, and it's just tough for him to put in there. And back to Tua, and to answer and Robert Maloney and Furman Parton are all waiting. He's not 100%. He's got a sprained knee. But hey, you're showing Jake Fromm there. He's not 100%. He's still. I noticed at practice this week. He's still got that wrap on his right leg. He got a pretty good bruise in the Florida game, I think it was, but he's continued to play. But Tua Tagovailoa is not 100%. I heard some interesting talk. I think it might have been. I can't remember if it was on Atlanta radio or Athens radio. Some great discussion about that. Does Alabama consider just sitting him? I wouldn't be surprised at all if he sits this week against the Citadel. I don't know why you would play him when you have Jalen Hurts, unless you just want to, keep him in sync with everything. So maybe they do. But he's been getting hit a lot. He got hit a lot against Mississippi State last week, and I even the discussion that I heard was even should you even play him against Auburn? Because technically, that game is not that important, and Alabama could probably lose to Auburn and win the SEC championship and still get into the playoff. But we all know Nick Saban better than that. I don't know whether he'll play against the Citadel. I could see him sitting in that one. I would imagine he would play against Auburn. But I tell you what, Mike Griffith and I are doing a series right now, Road to Atlanta. We're breaking down. Thank you, Willie Wood. We're breaking down the matchups. And basically, we're comparing position groups. So, like today, I weighed in on Georgia's pass defense, and I actually gave the edge over Alabama in pass defense. But I'm not saying Georgia's pass defense versus Alabama's pass offense, which is exceptional. We're comparing pass defenses. So they're both very, very good. They're both very, very young. Alabama's very similar to Georgia in that they lost most everything off of last year's team. In fact, Georgia brought more back. They only had one player with 2 starts returning, but obviously they've been exceptional. The difference in pass defense in Georgia and Alabama is Alabama's exceptional pass defense is a result of their exceptional front seven, and in particular on their front five. Hang on just a minute. Let me mute you just a second and take care of this situation. Bryson! Hang on just a minute. Returning the A1 sauce we let them borrow the other day, and I forgot to put the "Do Not Disturb" sign on my door. So yeah, we do these things wherever we can, and I'm doing it from home today. after having the Thanksgiving feast with my son at his school, and we came home after that. So I've got my son, so we're doing this from home today. So yeah, yeah, America's Funniest Home Videos. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, we should do that. Where were we? First off, let's remind you that this episode of Tower Steak is brought to you by Marco's Pizza. Wouldn't that have been great if that was a Marco's Pizza at the door? And we have done that on this show before, by the way, but we didn't do that this time. Uh, do you? Chris Snow says he missed these being at night. And we'll do them anytime you guys want to do them. But we've kind of settled on the lunch hour. We have a lot of midday programming. Dog Nation does on our Facebook page. That's right around the lunch hour. So sorry about that. Um, anyway, let's see if. All right, are we still here? Yeah, we're still here. All right. Yeah, no, I think Fromm is Jacob David Shefflet Fromm not that good. Um, let's see here. I've got all kinds of things happening all of a sudden. So right now, I got some people trying to reach me, and so we're gonna wrap up here shortly. I apologize for the interruptions and everything else. Let me get your questions here, and then we're gonna have to go. Let's see here. I gotta respond to this. Just a minute. Weird day, huh? We will. Troy's here. Yes. Let's see. Do you see any juniors skipping their senior season, Chip? That's a great question. For Georgia, I can't think of anybody right off the top of my head who would be interested in doing that right now. Let's see. Georgia's Tyreek McGee's not going to. Georgia's obviously a very young team. Ty Tay Crowder, excuse me, is not going to. Um, Charlie Warner, Isaac Nada, possibly. Isaac Nada might consider it, but I don't know. McCole Hardman would be somebody to look out for, I would think, and that is a good question. And look, I used to back in Troy's day. Troy Sadowski is on here, and back in the day when he was playing, it was not that common for juniors to turn pro. But now, if you are in position to make a bunch of money, to get drafted high, I don't blame anybody, for doing that. I think you kind of got to do what you got to do. So I would imagine that's a possibility for some. But I mean, even when you look at McCole Hardman, I don't know how he projects on the draft boards, but I promise you, and this is one of the reasons we love this interactive medium. That's a great thing to research, and I'll start looking into that and see if there's any juniors that may consider. And sometimes juniors make not so smart choices too. I mean, you are eligible to be drafted or to enter the draft as a junior, and sometimes these guys are just ready to be done with school. Football's hard; it hurts. Going to school is very, very difficult in the midst of all that. And some guys are just ready to go. You also can have a situation like you had a couple of years ago with Isaiah McKenzie. Um, the narrative was that Isaiah McKenzie, chose to leave school and turn pro, but the reality is he didn't have the opportunity to return to school. He was having a tough time academically. Georgia's a hard school, and he, didn't have the option of returning. Yeah, Trent Thompson last year, as Troy is pointing out, had a difficult time, and it's college football is not for everybody. It's hard. It's tough. And we got a lot of people, a lot of comments on Trent Thompson now, and I feel bad for Trent. But that didn't turn out very good for him. He never did get drafted. Does anybody know? Is he out there anywhere? I do the NFL report every week. Let me know if you like that. He's not on there. So as far as I know, he is not playing anywhere. That's right. Ken Blankenship, once you hire an agent, you're ineligible for the NCAA. We didn't bring up Hot Rod, did we? I hope that Hot Rod's not considering turning pro. I think he's going to have a professional career at his disposal eventually. Generally, kickers don't go early, but I guess that could happen. Let us know, Ken, if you know something we don't know. I'm sure you want to break it here on Tower State, brought to you by Facebook Live. Rod's a great guy, and people love him, and they would Georgia people would absolutely die if he turned pro. Troy, who played. How many years did you play in the NFL, Troy? We should just call up Troy and have him on the show. Is what we should do. Antoine Middleton says that Trent Thompson got cut by the Browns. But look, I got to get out of here, guys. I apologize for this being sort of a short, abrupt show. Normally, we do this at noon, but I had some conflicts with my son today, and so we did it this time instead. And I got people knocking on the door and dogs barking, and people back at the studio in Atlanta need to get back home. So let me go ahead and remind you that Tower Steak is always brought to you by Marco's Pizza, America's #1 pizza company, where you get fresh made dough and an original sauce recipe and 3 signature cheeses on every pizza. You can get 2 of them for $6.99, medium ones with 2 toppings, and they're awesome. And it's making me hungry right now. So give Marcos a call. Better yet, set you up a profile so you can order it online and get it to you real quick. Thank you for them. Troy says, Troy, this is my conversation with Troy's one. We're proud to be an NFL journeyman. He was a little bit more than a journeyman. Yeah, he hung around long enough to take care of business with the NFL. Thank you, Brandon Vernon, who's calling me Tater Chip. Chase Smith, you got here a little bit late. Lennon Silcox says Trenton Thompson is on the Cleveland practice squad. I will research that and find out. I got a couple things to look up after this week. So thanks a lot. Hey, don't forget there's Georgia basketball tomorrow night. They come back home after a tough loss on the road at Temple, where they played pretty well at the end to play Sam Houston State. Georgia against UMass this Saturday at 4 p.m. SEC Network. Dog Nation will have that covered like we always do. And I got to get out of here and get on the Bill Shanks show, who's trying to call me up. So thanks for everything, guys. I appreciate you hanging out with me. We will see you this time. Not this time. We'll see you at 12:30 next Thursday, which will be on Thanksgiving. So stay tuned for that on a programming note. Yeah, that's right. This is slick stuff here. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you certainly before the UMass game. Thanks. Bye, y'all.